Okay, let's do it. It's uh it's Wednesday. Almost Wednesday is one of these like it's hump day. So I'm trying to figure out how to keep things interesting. And so I thought it might be interesting to do a little bit of a neuroscience deep dive on Wednesdays. So here's the image that I want you to imagine. We've all been here. You're standing at the airport, you missed your flight, and there's this impulse, that rages, which is, oh, this is unfair, this sucks, now what? And this is, these people should, and blah, blah, blah. So when things are different than we want them to be, there's this natural tendency to go down a certain rabbit hole that I'm guessing we're all pretty familiar with. Um, and so the goal of today's session is to shine the spotlight on what's going on, like on a really high level, but what's the neurochemistry of neuroplasticity, or when we have repetitive experience, like what's actually happening in the brain. So everything that we experience ultimately boils down to the connection between individual neurons through these synaptic connections. They communicate with each other, and the process that is happening there is this thing called myelination. So I want you to think of myelination as, if you go to the county fair and you're watching uh, like a big show or a concert, and oftentimes you'll be stepping over these big electrical cables, right? And they're really thick, and they're like clearly very robust, and they have a lot of like rubber sheathing on them. That's because there's a lot of electricity passing through those cables. And so we need to, protect the electricity that's passing through those cables from the outside world. And then I don't know, you're in the back of your truck, or you're in your tent and you're fiddling with your REI headlamp, and you're talking like triple A batteries or double A batteries, and the whole thing is a whole lot flimsier than what you experience at the county fair. That has to do with the fact that the signal that's passing through those cables in your headlamp is way, way less than what's happening, at the county fair. Neurologically speaking, what's going on there is this process called myelination. And so think of myelination as the rubber sheathing that surrounds the connection between neurons. When they communicate and they send the electrical impulses back and forth, um, the the bridge or the connection that's happening is in fact protected by this. In this case, it's a bunch of sort of this fatty material called myelin. The cool thing about myelin is that the more we um, activate certain connections between neurons, the thicker that sheath gets. So the more we do something, the more entrenched it becomes, the easier it becomes for that signal to pass back and forth. And that's, on some level, that's one of the foundational pieces of neuroplasticity, right? The more we do something, the more the easier it gets to do that thing for the brain. Okay, so back to this idea of like, there you are, you missed your flight, and we're about to go down the same rabbit hole of all the negativity and all the things that they should have done, and I can't believe this is happening to me again. Like, the more we activate that, the more myelination happens for those connections in the brain. And so, the $1 million question is that what I want? Is that what I want my brain to get really good at and myelinate and strengthen those connections, or do I want it to be something else? And so that's the point of today's meditation. So let's see where this goes. Close your eyes. And I guess right from the get-go, know that as soon as you close your eyes and you set the intention to drop into a state of positivity or openness right here, right now, we're sending a message to the brain that says, hey, this is important. I want to be able to do this more easily, more quickly, with less friction, more and more. So right now, I'm paying deliberate attention and strengthening this connection that allows me to just drop into the present moment. And so there's the kind of neurologic basis for what it means to choose something. So when we make the decision and say, yeah, there's all these things I could be focusing on, but right now I'm choosing to be right here, right now, open hearted, open mind. The subjective experience of making that effort is stimulating this process of myelination. The more we do this, better the brain becomes at showing up, presencing, and grounding. And if that's difficult because there's lots of stuff going on, just know that every time you flex the intention to say, gosh, I just got lost in thought. I just noticed it and I'm coming back to right here, right now. Flexing is is the thing that we're trying to get better at. See if you can feel into the subjective experience of what's it like to notice that the mind has spun out or got wrapped up in all kinds of stuff. When I notice it, I flex my attentional muscle and I bring it back to right here, right now. That's what we want to myelinate and strengthen. And every time we consciously choose to come back to the present moment, we're sending a message to the brain that says, this is important. Get good at this. Get good at being here right now. Usually the mind is bouncing all over the place, time traveling, thinking of the past, worrying about the future. Totally normal. Whenever you notice that, see if you can again flex that muscle and just say, okay, that's all fine and good, but right here, right now, I want to be present. We want to myelinate the experience of agency. We want to strengthen the experience of soothing what we want. And we stimulate this process of myelination through lots of repetitive experiences. And so I know from my own firsthand experience that sometimes it feels like, I don't know, I'm putting all this effort into stuff and it's not really doing anything moment by moment, but it's the cumulative effect of saying, I'm going to come back to this over and over and over again. And that's what stimulates the neurobiology of saying, got it. Let's let's strengthen these networks in the brain. So there's an element of just trusting the process, just trusting that if we do this over and over again, it's easier, becomes normal. Take a deep breath in through the nose, mouth, relax the neck, the jaw, shoulders, the belly. Hold the exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In through the nose, up to your mouth. Keep the exhale as long and consistent as you can. Emptying the lungs, collapsing the belly, and then hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What happened was you guys really didn't know.
And yep. Okay. Hope that was helpful. My goal in that one was just to, I know for me personally, it's really helpful to be able to visualize like when I do this stuff, like what's actually happening. So I'm a bit of a neuroscience geek and I love seeing or just learning about how what's happening in the brain. And so this idea of myelination, like just strengthening the sheathing around these neural connections. Anyway, I hope that lands for you guys and hope to see you tomorrow for a gratitude practice.